Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Double Opa podcast, Double O podcast. You can find us on all platforms available for podcasting. So that would be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We are the hosts, Young and Drew. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. A lot to talk about today. But before we do, Andrew, you want to give us a recap of the last episode?
Yeah, so we are recording this as of April 23rd, 2024. So just as a heads up, some of the things that we will be talking about in this particular episode might be from the past. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, man, the other two episodes, if you didn't get a chance to check those out, were just more of backgrounds for me and Young, just so that one, you guys kind of have an idea of who we are, and two, hopefully gave you a reason to continue to listen and watch because there's a lot of good stuff coming out, and we definitely have a lot of guests lined up that you're definitely not gonna want to miss. So if you haven't checked out those episodes, we will include links to those below. But other than that, that was kind of the last two episodes that we recorded.
Yep. And all the more reasons to listen to our podcast is probably starting today. Just to give you a high level summary, we're going to be touching up on some of the current issues that are in our lives today, including arts, hip hop, sports. And we may have an interesting tidbit into Andrew's recent life event. Uh,
Jesus.
at the very end if we have some time. So let's just jump right into it. I know you and I are both a good fan of music, and I think this first one is very interesting. We're I don't want to say heavy listener, or I guess we can call ourselves heavy listeners of hip hop and rap. And there was a very interesting development for the past few weeks uh, involving some of the hottest rappers in the game today. So, Andrew, you want to give us the hot topic here?
Hey man, listen. Before I even go into this, all right, I would consider myself not just like a J. Cole fan or like a Dreamville fan, but like a J. Cole and Dreamville connoisseur. All right. Like when I when I found out about this, a lot of mixed emotions, like definitely a lot of opinions, without a doubt. I mean, dude, I've been following J. Cole since like his mixtape days. You know what I mean? And I think to this day, I still think his 2014 Forest Hills album was that's like GOAT status for me, like forever. Like I remember listening from start to finish for like a week straight, just because like I just couldn't believe like how good that album was. So just want to throw that out there for context. But the TLDR, if you're not familiar with kind of what's going on, is there's a lot of like quote unquote like rap beef going on right now between Drake, J. Cole, like Rick Ross is apparently in the mix now, which like what the fuck? Kendrick's Kendrick's in the mix. And so I think there's like two different train of thoughts here. So the first train of thought is when you think about the foundations that kind of made hip hop what it is today, it's all about competition, right? It's all about I'm the best, I have the hardest lyrics, like I have the hardest bars, like you're not better than me. And to a certain extent, you're also kind of representing like your hood or like where you come from, right? Or like your clique. So honestly, I don't even know like where this, this even came from because I just remember like pulling up Instagram a couple weeks ago and then it was just all over. So that's just like a quick, 50,000 foot overview of kind of the situation right now. But before I continue, Young, do you have any thoughts or opinions on what's transpired so far?
Well, I guess if you want to set a timeline, right? I feel like you could go all the way back. I
Oh,
think
absolutely.
Kendrick probably has a pretty extensive history of igniting beef, feud, or whatever you want to call it, dating all the way back to I don't remember what year exactly when he did the verse on Control. I think he just
Oh,
basically called out every MC in the game, and it was almost a disrespect if your name didn't get called out. Just means it wasn't important enough for him to mention
You're not good enough to make the list. Sorry, dude.
So I think,
Oh
and
my god.
funny story. Just a little bit of a digression, but so this control beat thing feud happens where he just calls everybody out, and apparently Koreans. I learned about this not too long ago. Korean rapping game. They just took the control beat, and then Koreans started making their own version of control. They call it controlled diss because they took the beat, and then obviously they layer in their Korean version of the diss track. So
Wait,
basically, it just like yeah. I mean, I'm being serious. You can probably Google this somewhere. I don't know if it's on Reddit. This was all over the Korean media. Um, well, maybe not media, but like hip hop,
right.
hip hop artists and those that are fans of the hip hop. This control this that happened. So like from a cultural and symbolic point of view, this was, I think, a pretty big event if you really think about it. And we can talk about that later, but kind of getting back onto the track, Kendrick has this long history of calling out rappers. And I think we get to last year. I don't remember the exact dates. Drake and J. Cole releases FPS or first person shooter. They talk about their status. Again, I won't disclose the exact lyrics, but the story goes they talk about their status in the rap game, and I guess Kendrick didn't appreciate what was said there or the lack of appreciation for him. And then Kendrick responds in the song that recently came out with Future and Metro Booming,
Just so
where
ridiculous.
he talks about it's not a big three, it's just him essentially. And then J. Cole in response, and I think this was early April, so we're talking about 2-3 weeks ago,
For sure.
releases on his newest album, Might Delete Later. The song is called 7 Minute Drill, talking about like Kendrick's record and albums and things like that, which surprisingly leads to the very topic we're discussing, where at Dreamville, J. Cole apologizes. He didn't, I think he states that he didn't feel right to be putting out an album or putting out a diss track. To my knowledge, J. Cole isn't really the type to send out diss or beef tracks. Again, I may stand corrected, but that's just my thinking. And then so he essentially takes himself out of this battle or the ensuing battle that happens between Drake and Kendrick. There's others that are involved now. Rick Ross, even Kanye has said something about this.
It's just like
So
life.
it has a potential to blow up, I suppose. My thoughts on this. First of all, I think this track is probably healthy for the game if done correctly. Obviously, historically, especially in the United States, uh, rap beef have allegedly resulted in murders of different rappers. There was the whole West Coast versus East Coast in the 90s that people have allegedly said that led to murder of Tupac and the Big. So I think it's healthy for the game as if done correctly. Um, I think there's probably some reservations now about killing people, to be honest, because I think it's happened
I would
before.
hope so. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
so
Jesus.
but it is a phenomenon. I mean, it's pretty interesting to look at. I guess this is the 21st century version of that East Coast versus West Coast.
So let me add a little bit to what you're saying because I definitely agree with all the points that you've made. And so I didn't really think about this perspective until I talked to my buddy about this at Coachella. Shout out to my dog. But he made a good point because before he kind of gave me his perspective on the whole situation, the only way I was thinking about it was you're supposed to be like one of the hardest rappers in the game in terms of just being like a lyricist. You know, I don't even really know who else I could really put up there with J. Cole right now, if I'm being completely honest, right? Um, and then just the fact that he's teamed up with Drake, like Drake is kind of like he's like Thanos right now. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine if he brought out like mixtape Wayne on top of that, bro? Like, you snap his fingers and they're all gone. And then there's the flip side, right? Because with K Dot, you got the whole TDE crew. Like, can you imagine if he brought in like Schoolboy Q and all these other cats that are obviously like disgusting rappers? Like, even if he brought in someone like Isaiah Rashad, who's not historically known for like rap beef, like that would be insane, dude. So there's that. And so to your earlier point, one could argue by him apologizing, kind of just like takes out the competitive spirit of kind of going back and forth between all the different rappers in the situation. Now, the other perspective I think a lot of people aren't thinking about is, in this day and age, fans can go like a little too hard. You know what I mean? To the point where they almost feel like entitled to have a say or to like take action when things like this happen. And so when you think about J. Cole's perspective, he's married. He has a pretty young kid. And so if you think about it from that perspective, it's like, do I really want to put my wife and kid at risk like that? Because that guy tours a lot. I'm sure, like, why wouldn't like a crazy fan like pull up out of nowhere and try to like bang on him? You know what I mean? Or like try and like, I don't know, like disrespect his wife or kid or put them in danger. And so when you think about it from that perspective, it kind of makes sense for me anyway, where it's like, yeah, like I am one of the nastiest rappers in the game right now. Yeah, like I will fucking run circles around like half these people that think they can rap. But is it worth putting like my fucking wife, my kid, or really just like my family at risk? And when I started thinking about it from that perspective, I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Because we've seen some pretty wild shit from fans nowadays, especially because we're both Korean, like K-pop people, bro. Like those motherfuckers go harder than anything I've ever seen. So as a family man, you know what I mean? Like I just don't know if I'd ever want to put my family at risk like that over something like this anyway, because like K-Dot, that guy was gang, he probably still is gang affiliated, like why wouldn't some fucking bloods pull up on him and try to bang on him? You know what I mean? Like,
All right, let's say allegedly because we don't know for certainty.
hey, if you're listening, just do a quick Google search. You'll see. But yeah, man, that's just kind of my opinion on it. Am I disappointed for the spirit of hip hop and just like the competitiveness? Excuse me. Of course, but at the same time, like I get it. Like you're not the single dude just like traveling the world and like doing shows now. Like you actually have people that you gotta take care of. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my perspective on it. So I don't know what you think about that, but for me, that was just a perspective that I didn't really think about until recently.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many layers to what's happening, and whether, yeah, I guess it comes down to is what you're putting in there, you know, as a diss track. And we're looking at it from J. Cole's perspective. We could be looking at it
Right.
from Drake's or K Dots or any others that are seemingly taking shots here. Is it worth it for everything else you have in life? And we never know the actual reason Cole did this, kind of tracking back. And only he knows the reason. And maybe it is about family. And maybe it is because he got kind of caught up in this movement and then later realized this isn't who he is. I mean, I think that's actually what he said at the, or if he didn't say it, he alluded to it. The fact that
Right.
that's
Right.
not who he is, and he actually respects Kendrick and kind of told the crowd, who wants to see him do well, or something to that effect, and got a loud cheer. So I mean, there's so many layers to this, and only J. Cole knows the reason. Do I think it's good for the culture? I would say no. As a fan, I would love to see.
That's what I'm
I
saying,
think
bro.
it's probably not the best thing to say. You know, hatred breeds hatred. I don't even know if this is real hatred or whether some of this is fabricated or they're just doing it for the for the sake of, drawing a response. But I think, like I said, when a diss track or a beef is used correctly, I think it brings out a different character within these rappers, and kind of results in legendary songs or legendary albums. And I think that's, he's kind of subdued that part, so I think that's okay for
Mhm.
his own sake. What I find interesting is that it's kind of taken a different route with other different rappers now taking shots seemingly at Drake, which leads to my next question to you is, what do you think is kind of going to happen now that J. Cole's out? Drake, taking shots back on his this track. Rick Ross taking a shot. Kanye's
That
jumping
that was
in.
wild, by the way.
There was some rumors of Metro Boomin coming up with a new song, and they want to potentially get Pusha T in there. So a lot of alleged
Dude.
stuff. So what do you think is what do you, well, first of all, how do you think this plays out? And what do you think of this whole Rick Ross, Drake, and even Drake's mom getting into this action?
Okay, so I'll start there with the whole like Rick Ross like exposing Drake for his DMs with it was Bobby the actor. What was her name again? It was Bobby
Millie or something like that.
Miller, something like that.
Yeah.
The chick from Stranger Things. That's how I always remember her. At first I thought it was like, because with AI, like you can make anything look real. So at first I was like, dude, what? Like why? Like why would that even be a thing, right? And then you find out it like actually happened, and then you just kind of sit there and think to yourself like, yo, like is this actually happening? You mentioned Pusha T. I think Pusha T is also one of the nastiest in the game. He just hasn't dropped a lot of new stuff in the recent years, but Pusha T has always been up on the list for me personally. So I think if he got involved and started, getting on some of these tracks, man, I know for a fact it's gonna hit hard, like real fucking hard, because yeah, he's just that guy. Um, when I think of Metro Boomin, for some reason I automatically kind of tie him with Future. Not to say that's like a bad thing by any means. I mean, Metro Boomin's doing very well for himself, obviously. So I think it'd be hilarious if like Future just came out of left field and just started dissing people, because as we all know, Future is the king of petty. You know what I mean? So I just think it'd be so funny. But to sum it all up, I do think they're all gonna come together, get on a single track, and then just like drop a banger, like a club banger. You know what I mean? I feel like this is usually what happens. I mean, dude, this happened with Drake and Meek Mill, and literally any other like rap beef that I've personally experienced in my lifetime. So that's kind of like my prediction, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays I think a lot of collaboration happens. Um, Drake did a whole album with 21 Savage. Metro Booming's been doing a lot of stuff with Future, and that's where Kendrick dropped in for the diss track. And
Hmm.
obviously, J. Cole was working with Drake. So there's a lot of like crossing that's happening with all these rappers. I find it hard to believe that someone, you know, I don't know who, and we can probably think about this. There's probably a rapper that worked with both sides that are now kind of put in a weird situation should they be called upon to participate. So I think eventually, like you said, they're all gonna get together, do a song together, just kind of squash the beef. That's pretty much what's happened. Like again, like you
Every
said,
time.
pretty much what's happened with all the beefs out there. Eventually, so
I mean, if anything, it's genius marketing. Like everyone's like tuning into this. I think every podcast I'm listening to, this topic comes up at least once or twice. You know what I mean? So I mean, from
yeah,
that
I mean,
perspective, it's genius, dude.
yeah, and I think when it first came out, because I know that J. Cole and Kendrick were supposed to have done some collaboration or wanted to do some collaboration, which never materialized.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think some people were suspecting, hey, they might be just kind of manufacturing this beef in order to eventually get together for some sort of squashing the beef hey, we're gonna squash the beef, and now we can go ahead and produce a collaboration. So some
Agreed.
people are some people are suspecting that that would happen, or they were doing this in order for that to happen. Now we'll never know, but I think for sure the amount of eyes that it brought to this specific event was very interesting to see. Even people that don't really know the rap game or
For
don't
sure.
really listen to the rap, if you're tuned in, to social events or the culture, I think at some point you probably heard about this.
Agreed. So I guess to close things off on this topic in particular, if you had to pick, maybe not a top three, let's just go one. What is your personal favorite J. Cole song of all time? If you had to pick one.
Man, it has to be from the Forest Hill album.
I'm telling you, bro,
I
that
don't
that
remember the
album is
name of the
goaded.
song. You know what? Let me look this up while
All right.
you share your favorite.
It's funny that you mentioned that because when I was driving back from Coachella, which is like, I don't know, like 2.5 hours, give or take, I actually played the album on the way back. And one, it just reminds you of like just how fucking good that album is. And then two, just like when you really, really like pay attention to the lyrics and some of the stuff he's talking about, it's a lot of stuff that you can relate to on a personal level. So shout out to Cole for one. But two, I think my favorite song from that particular album is a song called Apparently. And Apparently is basically I think the best way to put it is like a tribute to his mom. And just like praising her for everything that basically she's done for him. And it's just like it's a very like powerful song. I think that's the best way to put it. Obviously the beat on it is ridiculous. Just everything about it. Words can't describe like how much I appreciate that song on that album. So for me, it's for those of you that have not listened to the album or this particular song, it's called Apparently. And again, this is on his 2014 Forest Hills Drive album. So check it out because man, that is one fire album.
Well, I'll give you one that's not on the album, The Middle Child. I think that
That
one
was
is
good.
another one. Even though I don't really associate myself as the middle child, because one, I'm not a middle child, and I think his take on the song is basically him being the bridge between the earlier generation and the current generation. Is my take on what he was alluding to. But
Absolutely.
things like that, I think, makes what J. Cole, well, what I would consider J. Cole to be one of the in the game, is all these different interpretations of his song, I suppose. And again, another firebeat song, so I can't complain.
Disgusting.
I mean,
Fun fact.
you're probably a lot more rooted in rooted deeper in the rap game than I am. But hey, we all listen to J. Cole. I don't think there's any objection there.
I think the only last thing I'll add there that a lot of people don't think about is he actually makes a lot of his own beats too. Like obviously he'll send it to someone to like obviously like master it and do all the engineering work behind it, but it's impressive because he actually makes a lot of his own beats, which is really cool. So
Yeah,
that's the
he's
last one out there.
oh, last one I'll say is he sounds like a really smart guy because he
Oh, for
did
sure.
graduate. I think he did graduate with some sort of cum laude or summa cum laude. I don't know which one. So he's well educated.
Hey, shout out to J. Cole, man. That's all I gotta say. Shout out to J.
Well,
Cole, bro.
only if we can get him on the podcast someday.
Hey, one of these days, bro, we will. But that wraps up that topic. So if you remember from the other episodes, the one thing that me and Young have in common is our passion and our love for the different sports that we follow. And as of today, which is again April 23rd, 2024, we are now just kind of diving into the NBA playoffs. We are also kind of coming to the end for Champions League football, not soccer, but football. So definitely talk about that.
Football,
You know
depending
what it is.
on where you're from, you
Yes,
may
sir.
pronounce it a little bit differently.
And then the last thing that you probably caught in the other two episodes is me and Young love playing golf. Are we good at golf? I mean, that's up for debate, but We
Well,
love
you
following it.
be. I'm sure not that very good.
I don't know about that, bro. I've
We're
seen, I've
getting
seen
there.
you, I've seen you bomb some drives, bro. I don't know about all
Yeah,
that,
right into
but
someone's backyard.
but there's a lot of interesting news in the golf world, specifically on the PGA Tour, that we'll definitely get into as well. But to kick things off, man, NBA playoffs. Like, I don't know about you, but I've been following a lot of game ones pretty closely. And as of today, half of the game twos on the West Coast just went down, which were disgusting. So I'll let you kick this one off, bro. How are you feeling about the playoffs right now? Like, what teams are you feeling?
All right, I'll go West and East. So just kind of going through the West matchups. You got OKC, New Orleans. Uh, I could go either way. I don't really feel a whole lot about that one, especially since Zion's out.
Right.
It kind of deflates things a little bit. OKC is interesting. Do I think they're ready? Probably not 100%. Which takes us to the next one. I'll go in the order of least to most interesting for me, anyways.
Okay. I like
So
that.
next is Suns versus Wolves. Kind of like the old guard versus the new guard.
Oh yeah.
KD versus what's his name?
And yep.
Anthony Edwards. Uh, really exciting player. Not afraid to speak his mind. Not sure where Devin Booker fits in all this, but we'll see. He didn't play very well in game one, if
Yeah.
my
Very
memory
quiet.
serves right. So
Right.
he needs to step it up. So I don't think either of them are really going to be in the interesting slash winning team in the West. The next two are pretty interesting to me. Dallas Clippers. They've been playing forever,
For
supposedly,
sure.
on the playoffs, and any team with Luka Doncic, I mean, you just have to pay attention. I think they could be a surprising Western Conference winner. But if I had to hedge my bet, is probably the last matchup, Lakers versus Denver. I think this was the most exciting because one, obviously
Oh wait,
Denver's.
sorry. Did you mean to say because you said Luca, right? Did you mean to say Jokic for the LA versus
Yeah, no, I'm getting there.
Denver?
I
Okay.
was saying any team with Luka Doncic as
Oh,
in
okay.
reference to
My bad.
Dallas versus the Clippers. And I
Right.
actually think Dallas might have a chance to win the West. I haven't actually looked at the exact bracket, but you have him and Kyrie, you always have a chance.
It's disgusting, right?
Which brings me to my most interesting West matchup: the Lakers versus the Nuggets. Whew, man, that Lakers should have had that game too. I'm not sure what happened.
Bro.
This one's the most interesting for me because one, if you look at it from the Lakers side, you have a chance to exercise your demon. They apparently have lost 10 straight to Denver, including the last year's playoffs.
Right.
They had their chance yesterday, didn't execute at the end. Denver is just like a machine, man. It starts with Jokic, but I don't know what happens during the playoff, but Murray steps it up. Again, LeBron has a chance to do the unthinkable, win 3 straight on the road to get to the finals. It's looking less likely right now, but that's the most interesting one for me. Yeah, and the East, I don't really pay attention too much to the East because I think Boston probably has it in the bag.
So
if I'm being honest,
Right.
too many injuries too. Embiid, obviously not 100%. I have no idea when Giannis is coming back, and I don't think anybody cares about the Cavs versus the Magic. If I'm being honest, a lot of people are saying that would be the one on NBA TV the whole time. Just doesn't generate a lot of storyline to me. So those are my first thoughts. I don't know if you have anything to add on any of these.
I think I share a lot of the same sentiments that you just made about a lot of these matchups. Going to the Lakers versus Denver game, game 1 and 2 were a lot of fun to watch. It's funny because game 2, Jamal Murray was like really cold throughout most of the game, and then he just hits that dagger, the buzzer beater. You know what I'm saying? Step back, just disgusting. Wins it for obviously Denver, so they're up 2-0 now. I could actually see Denver maybe not sweeping them, but I could definitely see a 4-1. I think whenever you have Jokic and he's on fire, you got his supporting cast with obviously cats like Jamal Murray, and even fucking Porter Jr. Like that guy was playing pretty well last night, honestly. So when those three guys are playing well together, like it's really hard to stop. Because Anthony Davis was not playing bad in any way, shape, or form last night. But even then, they still can pull it off. So I think that's going to be the matchup I probably follow the closest in this round of the playoffs. I like Suns versus Wolves because I personally think watching Ant go at KD was a lot of fun to watch. Just a lot of shit talking, but it was just a lot of like just good hooping. You know what I mean? That's gonna be a really fun one. I think Dallas will take that one. And for me, that's just more of a gut feeling. Also, just I don't really have an opinion on the Clippers. I've just never really cared, so it is what it is for me. When it comes to OKC, I think I still have a sore spot for when we sold them to OKC. Because remember, they used to be the Seattle Sonics. You know what I'm saying? But I think this version of OKC, it's a young team. I mean, they're still calling Chet like the white man's KD because they have very similar playing styles. So I can definitely appreciate a young team doing their thing. So we'll see what happens with that one. Let's see what other matchups are interesting to me personally. I kind of like the Cavs lineup right now. Like I've always been a big Darius Garland fan. Like we have a mutual friend that gave me shit a few years ago. Like, oh, like he's too injury prone. Like, he dribbles too much, but look at him fucking now. That boy is nasty. And him with Donovan Mitchell and some of these other young cats that are doing their thing on the Cavs, like, I think that's gonna be exciting. Do I think Banchero has enough firepower to stop all those guys? I personally think no, but again, we'll see what happens. And then my last thought here is I'm a pretty big Jalen Brunson fan. Like, bro, can you imagine if Dallas?
He is him. That
he
guy.
Is him. That boy's
is
cold, bro.
Yeah.
Straight cold. Well, and then I feel like any New York team always had this like quote unquote rivalry with Philly. So I think just from that perspective, it's kind of an exciting matchup to watch. But to your point, not everyone's completely healthy. So, again, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think overall on the East, Boston just looks too good right now. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I think all the games so far have been really close for the most part, and they've been really entertaining. So I'm really excited to see how this plays out. So those are kind of my thoughts on what's kind of transpired so far.
What's your prediction? I guess let's just go one by one. Who's gonna win round one? Prediction for the conference, and then finals prediction.
Okay, so I'll start in reverse order. I think championship, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of see Denver. Like, dude, they look really good right now. There's not any notable injuries that I can think of at this time. And dude, I'm just telling you, man. Like when they move the ball like they were last night, that's just hard to stop. So that's my prediction for the overall. I think for conference, obviously for the West, it's definitely gonna be Denver, in my opinion. I just don't see who else can really just put a stop on Jokic, especially when he's going off. Like, yeah, it's gonna be hard to stop. And then for the East, as much as I'd love to see the Cavs make it, just because I'm a fan of that team right now, just because they're so young and they're hungry. Like, you can feel it when you watch the games, man. I honestly think it's gonna be Boston though. Like again, just too good. They've been in this situation many times, so this is not new to them. So I got Boston in the East, but aside from that, I think the rest of the matchups are kind of a toss-up for me, if I'm being honest. But those are kind of my predictions.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the bracket. I'll go one by one. So OKC, New Orleans. I'll take OKC.
100%.
Um, Clippers, Dallas. That's a good one. I think
I
the
think that's gonna be a
Clippers
close
are
one.
up. I'll probably take Dallas. Um, Kawhi doesn't seem to be 100%. He's the killer for them. James Harden remains to be seen. Um, Next one, Wolves over Suns. I think they'll kind of take
Wait,
the momentum.
can I make a comment on that one just real quick that I think we haven't really addressed just yet? I feel like when people start comparing you, when I say you, I'm talking about Anthony Edwards to MJ, like that's a big statement in itself. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be mad if the Wolves took that first bracket, if I'm being honest, but just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, he's probably more on D-Wade's level than MJ. MJ, it's a little too far for now, anyways.
For
If
sure.
if he keeps projecting up, then who knows? But we'll leave it at it for now. And then the next one, I think Denver takes it, especially since they just won game two, which means the Lakers would have to win for the last five or for the next five or 4 out of 5, and you get at least 2 games in Denver again.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly thought game two was probably their best chance. So
Agreed.
it's unfortunate. That brings us to OKC and Dallas. I think Dallas would take it. That's Dallas is my surprise pick in the West,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to play the winner of, let's see, Minnesota and Denver. I'll take Denver, and then I'll take Denver over Dallas to the finals. On the East, let's do these quickly. Boston over Miami, Cavs over the Magic, although I think that was a toss up. Um, I think the Bucks will win their first round. They still have Damian Lillard. Uh, Dame time is still a thing apparently, so I think they'll take that one. I think they'll play the Knicks. Embiid just not 100%.
Exactly right.
That's a shame. Although I think he will just kind of not be 100% going forward for the rest of his career,
Mm-hmm.
especially since he like tore his knee or something this time and came back too early. So I think those things kind of add up. So I think eventually he's just going to continue to deal with these like late season injuries that kind of puts his team on a bind.
Right.
Next, Boston Cavs, Boston, um, Bucks, Knicks. Boston and New York sounds like a very tasty matchup. A lot of history there. Well, individually, anyways. Boston obviously has a lot of titles, and the Knicks. You know, people always want to see the Knicks do well. They haven't done well in the last few years, or really since like 1999 or something like that. But they're coming back. I still think Boston takes that one,
Oh, absolutely.
which puts Boston in Denver, and I will actually take Boston. So I think Boston will win.
Agreed.
Um, yeah, they, I don't. I think they're more experienced than they were 2 years ago when they were in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Denver has one, so they have the experience to know what it's like to win. I just think Boston is well constructed as a team. They have a lot of pieces that could at least uh, offset some of what Jokic does. Nobody can really guard him, but
I
at least
don't
if
think
you
it's
have
possible.
some pieces that could offset him on the other side of the game, for Boston, I think that they match up pretty well. The key players probably who's the center for Boston? I forgot his name. Oh, Porzingis. Porzingis is probably my key player for the finals.
I just hope he can stay healthy because that's always been
Yeah,
his
I
thing.
mean
You know what I mean?
that's why I say he's a key player, right?
Right.
He if he can at least guard in some way, shape, or form for Jokic, and I don't even know if he's gonna be actually guarding Jokic, to be honest. That's asking a lot, but if he can kind of offset what some of what Jokic does on his offensive end, I think that bodes well for Boston.
Agreed.
So that was the NBA. We'll keep track, and we may just kind of go over our prediction in the later episode. But that takes us to the next sporting event, which is the Champions League. Apparently, there's a lot of forms of Champions Leagues, but the one we are interested in is the UEFA Champions League.
The Champions League.
Champions League.
The
correct.
Champions League.
The most prestigious Champions League
Exactly, bro.
in the world. It is, for those of you who are not familiar with football or soccer, as we call it in the US, is the highest level of professional league tournament league. So it's meant to be a tournament. The earlier stages are group stages, so kind of like a league format. But it is the highest form of European football championship with the professional leagues. We each have our own set of teams we cheer for. My team is still in the Champions League. Andrew's team is not.
You could argue we might not even have a spot in the Champions League.
Yeah,
next season. So
we're kind of going over Champions League format in a nutshell. You're offered an entry into the Champions League based on your previous year's records or results in your domestic league. So, for example, Andrew cheers for, or he's a fan of Manchester United, who plays in the Premier League, the English Premier League. And based on where they placed last year, they were able to be offered a spot in this year's Champions League. And the European leagues start from fall to the following spring. So the United's result in the 2022-23 English Premier League offered them a spot in current year's Champions League, so 2023-24. I am a fan of Real Madrid, who plays in the Spanish La Liga. So same thing. They were second in or third, I forget. We didn't win it, so I forgot. But in the last year's La Liga, we placed second or third, which gave us a spot in the current year's Champions League. Earlier stages are groups of 4, where the top 2 advances. And you do like a home and away, so everybody plays 6 matches, and you put them in a table, and the top 2 in the group advances to the tournament, which is round of 16, and then you keep going up. So right now, Champions League semifinals are set. A la Madrid, because we won a difficult tie with Manchester City. Crazy ties. First match 3-3 in the Bernabeu in Madrid. Second one in Manchester 1-1, and then we went all the way to the penalty shootout. Whew. It was a very stressful 2 matches, in my opinion, because first one we didn't play any defense. Second one we played too much defense. I was actually getting some stomach ache, probably due to some stress.
For sure.
Immediately went away after we won the penalty shootout. Other than that, I have the jerseys ready when they inevitably go to the finals on June 1st. Anything you want to add there?
I think I'm gonna keep it real. Madrid has been a lot of fun to watch this year, or this season. So I never really had a team in the Spanish league, if I'm being honest. I think between all our friends, everyone's kind of split between Barcelona and Madrid. So I feel like I'm slowly becoming a Madrid fan. I think the only reason why I was like kind of against it in the past is just because I always thought Sergio Ramos was just like such a dickhead. Like,
I mean,
he's really good. He's still a dickhead for sure. But at the same time, there was a long period of time where you could argue probably like top 5 center backs in the world, like undoubtedly. You know what I mean? But yeah, they've been a lot of fun to watch, man, and especially with guys like Jude Bellingham, who is him. Like, he is him. All right, like it's just they're a lot of fun to watch. I don't know if you want to show, but the Y3 jerseys they have that just dropped this year are also disgusting. Dude, I think you should put it on the screen, bro, because those kits are so clean, so clean.
Yeah, let me try to pull this up. But essentially, they did a new collaboration with Adidas, who's
Yep.
the kit sponsor for Real Madrid. It's a purple one, and I actually looked this up yesterday. The only jerseys that are still up for sale are certain youth sizes and goalkeeper jersey, which is not purple for obvious reasons. So I'm not sure when I will get him. Hopefully, at some point in my life, I can get my hands on him. But just to show you those listeners that are watching our YouTube, let me pull that up. While I pull that up, you want to kind of go over the rest of the matches?
I got you. Historically, I've always kind of made fun of Arsenal. I mean, for the longest time, the running joke was forever fourth. You know what I mean? But recently, they've been doing a lot better. But the problem right now is they always choke when it matters. So for those of you that aren't following Champions League maybe as closely, Arsenal played Bayern in. Oh wait, before I even go there, just witness. Like, tell me that's not one of the cleanest fucking kits you ever seen, bro. Like, that is so nasty.
We have to actually look at this from somebody wearing it.
I think the last one I saw was like, I think Jude Bellingham was like,
yeah, maybe this doesn't actually do justice, but this is an idea of what it would look like. This is a youth jersey, a woman's jersey, I think. And we don't have to worry about the prices. Let's not look at here.
Yeah, let's not.
But
not important.
Supposedly, I know somebody who actually has this already, and they say it's even better in person. So I'm excited. God. These floral prints look really nice. I'm not sure what the signature is. Must be the designer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm excited to get my hands on one of these.
Dude, I would, if I could get my hands on one of those kits, I would guard that thing with my life. You know what I mean? Like, I would wash it a specific way. I would dry it a specific way. You know what I mean? Like, dude, those kits are so.
Well, I think I'll probably wear when I don't sweat and just never wash them.
Dude, same.
Or you know, if they have a clothing version of those dry shampoos, that's all. I'll just spray it on them,
for real,
let them dry, and then never touch them.
Yeah. So, if you guys weren't aware, you're aware now. Just probably one of the cleanest kits you'll ever see. But going back to Arsenal, I think they had multiple chances to close out that match versus Bayern. But just a lot of stupid fouls in the last minutes of the match. Yeah, I mean, I personally think they should have closed it out. I don't really have any alliances between Arsenal and Bayern. That's kind of whatever to me, but I just personally think watching those matches, they should have closed that out. So we'll see how Bayern does in the rest of their matches. PSG just fucking shit on Barcelona. Like, there's really nothing else to really say there. I mean, they literally they handed it to them. Like, just enough said there. You know what I mean? Like, I think I watched the last 30 minutes of the last match, and I was just like, bro, oh my god, just no. I personally have certain feelings towards Dortmund. There is a particular player named Jadon Sancho who was on Manchester United, was acting just like a fucking diva, and then just left basically for nothing. So yeah, they won, but I don't know. I personally don't think they'll make it any further than that. I think this is about as far as they go. Like, I just don't see them beating out PSG. I just don't see it at all. So there's that.
So we got our semifinals. So Madrid versus Bayern. I think the first match is in Munich.
I think Madrid takes that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I just don't like my team playing first leg at home because you don't get to close at home.
True.
Luck of the draw had us, and that's probably why I was afraid of the City tie, because we had the second match in Manchester. To be honest, I still don't know how they pulled it off, playing defense for. Well, I mean, they played all the way through 120, so we're talking about basically just playing defense after the first goal in the 15th. So
Yep.
over 100 minutes of just playing defense in that stadium against the enemy crowd is not the most pleasurable thing to watch as a fan. And I think the fact that we have the second match in Madrid should play nicely. But what are your thoughts there, Bayern, Real Madrid?
I just don't know who on Bayern has the ability to lock down Jude Bellingham, first and foremost. Like even just looking at the roster again right now, yeah, I just don't see it. So
Well, they have our Korean boy Minjae, so hopefully he can
hey,
step up.
that's our blood brother right there. You know what I'm saying? But Jude Bellingham, like that guy is just on another level right now.
He's
and
also
at
only 20 years old.
at that age, bro, and that's what I'm saying. So he only has all the time in the world to get even better than he is right now. Which, dude, he's already fucking like top 5 in the world, in my opinion. Right? So yeah, we'll see about that. I think for you guys, your back four was kind of what was killing you in the prior matches leading up to this. I mean, even in when you guys played Barcelona on Sunday, like I thought it was going to be your back four that lost you that match. So I think as long as you guys clean that up, like even just a little bit, like I really just don't see how Bayern comes back and beat you guys. So I think you guys kind of got that in the bag.
Yeah, I mean, if I want to make some excuses here,
It is your
center
team,
back.
so
There's 4 center backs. We don't count the 5th one. I think he's a youth player, but first choice center back injured out for the season.
Mhm.
Second choice center back injured ACL, just came back. He's getting more fit, but I don't think we can count on him. Third center back Rudiger, he's been amazing. A
For
rock
sure.
in the back.
Absolutely.
Locked up Holland on both ties. Fourth guy is Nacho, the captain. He's been Madridista through and through. He's not reliable in the sense that you want him to be, but he does pull it when it matters. So there's that. So I mean, we're already starting 2 center backs who wouldn't normally be starters. Sometimes we start our center mid, Chouameni in the back line. So that kind of tells you what you need to know about the status of the defense. Number 1 goalkeeper out for the whole year. He came back and then
Mhm.
messed up his meniscus. So he's definitely out. The backup's been amazing. We might have to make a choice in the future of whether to keep Courtois the starter versus Lunin, who's been stepping up this year.
For
I
sure.
think he's like 8 years younger, so decision to be made there. But you can tell goalkeeper, defense out. Midfielder's been great. So I don't think we'll have
Not
problems.
just great. You guys have been amazing, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
Dude, your midfield is disgusting.
yeah, there's rumors of Mbappe coming next year.
That would
So
just be so dumb.
we will not have to worry about attack and midfield for the next 10, 15 years. It's just the defense. So I think if we can play a good defense, just throw a kitchen sink, I don't care what happens. We should take this one. And for those of you who don't know, Madrid has won 14 Champions League, which I think is more than the next 2 combined. Or it might be the same as next 2 combined.
Right.
We've
Actually,
won.
can we fact check that actually? Because that's a pretty impressive stat. Like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, especially winning 3 in a row from
That's unheard of, dude.
Yeah, 16 to 18, never been done.
Mhm,
I don't
mhm.
think it'll be done again. To be
I agree
honest.
with you. Yeah, I'm with you there.
Especially with the format changing, making it harder for teams to actually even repeat.
Mhm.
Repeat is kind of like a Jordan-esque type of moment.
Absolutely.
They're hoping we get 15 this year. I bought a mini jersey for my daughter.
There you go.
So
why 3?
Oh no! I was
just a standard. Okay.
I was in Madrid over the winter for my honeymoon, and then
Okay,
we
that
went
makes
to
sense.
watch a match at the Bernabeu. We picked up our jerseys. We already knew that my wife was pregnant, so we decided to buy a little jersey for the little girl. Um, Funny thing, the Champions League is June 1st. My daughter is coming late May.
Congratulations
So
again, by the way. You know what it is.
thank you. But scheduling might be an issue, so we're hoping things work out well where I will be able to watch if Real Madrid is in the final.
Dude, I just it's really difficult for me to envision a situation where that's not the case. If I'm keeping it a buck with you.
Well,
So
family comes first, so it is whatever the wife wants, especially with the child
you're
coming
on
up.
your phone like as the baby's coming out.
Yeah,
Oh no.
I think I'll get a hand imprint on my face
Oh my
uh,
god, so bad.
if I do anything inappropriate.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, I don't think nurses and doctors won't appreciate either.
I think they have TVs though in like the delivery rooms, right? Don't they?
I don't know. I mean,
I guess it depends
now
on
we're
the.
just getting a little off topic, but we'll figure this out. We'll figure this out.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so that's Madrid and Bayern. What are your thoughts on PSG and Dortmund? The other
I think
semifinals?
that's in my honest opinion, and I might be a little biased here because I think Mr. Sancho didn't do his time justice at United because he is a nasty player. Like he is actually really fucking good. And I remember when we signed him initially, like I was like hyped because we were kind of missing that left wing, like yeah, basically that left wing presence, if you will. And on top of that, he was versatile. So like if you want him to play center mid, like he could probably make it work. If you wanted to put him up top, he could definitely make it work. He just didn't fucking get along with our
The
coach. Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, it's fine. But at the same time, bro, it's like, God damn it. Anyways, so selfishly, I want to see PSG just whoop that ass. Also, I just think overall PSG is a much better team. They've been here before. Like for me, just looking at the statistics and all the facts, like, bro, I just don't see PSG not making it to the final. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, they got a lot of firepower. Mbappe, Dembele, our boy Kangin.
Dude,
A lot of
nasty, by the way.
a lot of Korean
Yeah.
players in the Champions
yeah.
League right now. So
And they're young too, which is great.
yeah, I think Kangin's like 22, 23. Minjae's mid 20s. So still got years to go to get more trophies in their career.
For sure.
Which brings us to Madrid versus PSG.
Dude, that's gonna be such a good final to watch. That's gonna be like I'm canceling out my I'm gonna block out my calendar. I'm not playing no golf. Like I'm gonna be tuned into that match.
Yeah, you hit the pub in San Diego. I'm pretty sure there's Champions League fans
everywhere,
all around the globe.
Facts, hard facts. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
That one's tough. Watch it be Bayern versus Dortmund. Our prediction just go off the roof, but should Madrid and PSG match up, I think it's gonna be some firepowers for sure.
I agree.
They both have suspect defense, I think, with a lot of offense. I think Madrid is probably a little bit more balanced, but PSG has the better finishers.
Oh, dude, I don't think anyone would disagree with you on that one, dude. Like, dude, PSG's finishing power is like probably one of the best in the world right now, if not the best. So, yeah, dude,
there's always the danger of because Madrid likes to play possession,
and
Mbappe is like as good as they come counterattack. So one pass through and he's on. So it's going to be a lot of very interesting matchups in the game. But I have to go for Madrid. I've been their fan since 2002, 2003.
Respect.
Nothing's gonna stop us from getting the 15th trophy and reminding everyone why Real Madrid is the king of Europe. Once again.
I'm gonna reserve those comments to myself. But, yeah, I mean, dude, you guys are looking fucking amazing right now. So I don't think anyone would disagree with you.
Yeah. So that wraps up Champions League. Again, we'll revisit these predictions. Like I said, it could be Dortmund versus Bayern. You never know. And we were just wrong to begin with. But
Completely off the mark. Just
Yeah. That takes us to the last topic in the world of sports is PGA. So I don't actually keep up with the game as much as you do, but I did watch the Masters.
dude.
And Scottie Scheffler, for those of you who's not familiar with the PGA, product of Austin, Texas, where I live. I will gladly associate myself as the Austinite now that we now that now that the number one golfer in the world is from Austin. Went to
Undisputed.
school at University of Texas.
Yep.
He wins the Masters. I believe this is his second Masters. I will check facts, but he is the undisputed number one in the world right now, with the exception of those that are playing in the LIV, the other prominent league. What are your thoughts on his performance as the Masters?
So what's interesting about Scheffler is when you look at his swing, it's not something that you can really like reproduce. Like he does this really weird thing with his back foot when he makes impact with the ball, where it kind of looks like he's like sliding back and forth before he actually finishes his swing. And you could even argue that if you tried to teach that to a new golfer, that they might actually injure themselves because it's just so unorthodox. His iron striking is like next to none. Like I couldn't even tell you who else even comes close right now to his ball striking. Like just ridiculous. If you want to talk about short game magic and creativity, like dude, he was sinking some shots at the Masters where it's just like, dude, like how did you even see that? You know, like how did you even see that the ball was gonna break that hard to the left, or how did you put so much spin to know that the fucking curve on the green was gonna bring the ball right next to the hole? Like it's just shit that like you just have to be built different to be playing that fucking well. Because you know, it's historically known to be one of the most difficult courses in the world to play. And the fact that he played that well, dude, that was ridiculous. And then the following week, which is technically this week, he wins the RBC Heritage, which, you know, winning the Masters and then winning an event back to back like that on two very, very difficult courses is, dude, I don't know. I think the last time we saw something like this was when fucking Tiger Woods was at his prime. So to see Scheffler doing his thing, man, like it's a lot of fun to watch. And the thing is, dude, he's such a humble guy. Like I don't know if you watched his interview, but the only thing he kept talking about was like, dude, I'm just excited to go home to go hang out with my wife and my kid. You know?
Yeah, I think they just had a baby, or they were supposed to have a baby during the game, in which his wife said she will try not to tell him because I think he said he would have just flew out right away.
Exactly.
The baby was coming in the midst of like this incredible run at the Masters. So seems like a very family man or family oriented man. So sounds like sounds like just some neighborhood or some dude in my neighborhood who happens to be masterful at this thing called golf.
I think there's something about him that, whether you follow sports in general, that we can all take away from kind of his mindset when it comes to his craft is golf is not my life. There's a lot of other priorities I put in front of golf, and I don't let golf like define who I am. And I thought like when he said that in his interview, and again, that was a summary of kind of what he was talking about. In a weird way, like that was such a cold statement. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure like that's part of the reason why he is so good at golf. Like because he does have other things that he has on his mind. I would almost argue it almost like alleviates some pressure. You know what I mean? Whereas like if you're one of those guys that or girls that's the only thing that you're thinking about and that defines like your happiness in life, like that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. You know what I mean? So I think there is something that we can all take away from the way he approaches the game. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, for a guy that says golf is not everything, I'm looking at his records. He has been playing.
So ridiculous.
Yeah, well, we're just looking at the majors, so that includes Masters, PGA Championship, U.S. Open, and the Open, the British Open. So he started seriously playing, I would say, in 2020. So here are his records: 19th, 4th, 18th, 8, 7, 8, 1 because he won the Masters. His only cut to date: 2nd, 21st, 10th, second, third, 23rd, and first. So ever since he's been in the majors field, he has finished no more behind than 23rd. He's been cut only once. Top 10 finishes the rest. So 10 times top 10 finish, 4 times top 10 or outside of top 10, 1 time cut. Of those 10 times he made the top 10, he's won twice, second, third, fourth. Second twice, first twice, third and fourth. So any way you slice it, incredible finishes at the Masters. He's missed the cut once.
Which is insanity, dude. That is absolute insanity. Just shout out to Scottie Scheffler, man. You know what I'm saying? Like that's so impressive.
Yeah, it remains to be seen how he does in the next major, which is the PGA Championship. He was second last year, so hopefully we see another top 3 finish, maybe first.
That's the hope, man. Dude, honestly, I'm sure we will. Like he is just playing so well right now. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but somebody who's perhaps more on fire than Scottie Scheffler is on the other side of the association, the LPGA.
Yes, sir.
So the ladies PGA tour has a player, Nelly Korda, who's now won 5 in a row.
Insane.
Not sure if that's a record or not. Actually, let me look this up. But
I think she might be. I think she's tied.
So it's like 5 in a row, like back to back. Because I know the tours have a match or tournament every week, right?
So this is specifically back to back, which is, dude. Because in golf, that's the thing is when you go into something like professional golf, you kind of have to come to terms with the fact that you're gonna lose a lot more than you're gonna win. You know what I mean? So the fact that she went 5 back to back is fucking insane, dude. Like she's playing out of her mind right now. So
yeah,
shout out to Nelly Korda, bro. Like that's insane.
It looks like it's 5 in a row, including 1 major, which finished this week or as of this week. She is the only player, or she's the 3rd player to have won 5 consecutive starts. There was one in 1978, Nancy Lopez.
1978, dude.
And
We're
then
in 2024
second one is over 2004 and 2005, Annika Sorenstam, who I think is a legend in the game.
She is definitely a legend, for sure.
So she's the 3rd one to achieve it. The last one comes in the major Chevron Championship. Man, I'm looking at some of these scores. It's ridiculous. So one of them was 4 championship, and the March she scored 20 under over 4
20 rounds. Under, dude.
And then the major this time was 13 under, both won by 2 strokes.
Yeah, hold on. Can I say something real quick? So you said 20 under, okay? Dude, when we play, like, if we shoot 20 over, that's like acceptable for us. You know what I mean?
Well, my handicap's probably like 25. I've never measured it officially because you have to pay for it, but
you gotta be all fucked up.
Yeah, I just take her score of -20 and then put a little bar in the minus sign, and that's a good score for me. So
my god, I'm fucking.
It's a little ridiculous, but looking at her record, it's just reading the 5 that she won. She won the first 2 in the playoffs. Interesting. And then she had that -20, won by 2 strokes. The next one was a match play. So she went 4 and 3, which means she was 4 up with 3 to go. And then the last one was this Chevron Championship, the major. So, wow. I'm also looking at her winner share, and she's made over, I'm quickly doing the calculation here, almost $2.5 million in those 5 tournaments. I don't know what that constitutes in her overall winnings, but I wish I could play 20 rounds of golf and win $2.5 million. That's some sweet cash, if you ask me.
For sure, and that's not even including like sponsorships and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if my memory serves right, and we may have to look this up again, Korda family is an athlete family.
Yeah, so her older sister Jessica Korda was also on the tour, also very, very good. And then her brother Sebastian Korda is on the ATP tour as a singles player. So yeah, it comes from a family of athletes.
Yeah, and his dad or their dad is he's a Czech player, but a Czech professional tennis player.
Mhm.
He won an Australian Open, so he's a pretty prominent athlete himself. Obviously, his son's also a tennis player, and his two daughters are golfers. So athletic family comes from the gene. Incredible stuff, man. I don't.
Dude, it's you know what? I'll tell you what. For the golfers or prospective golfers that are tuned in right now, for me personally, I try and copy Nelly Korda's swing. Like her tempo, just like everything about her swing is just literally perfect. Yeah, there are other people that you could possibly want to like copy in terms of their swing, but her swing is so silky fucking smooth that like it's hard to not look at her swing and not want to copy it. Like it is just, I just can't believe how good it is. You know what? We're gonna do this right now. We're gonna pull this up. Hold on. Let's see.
While he's pulling that
Nelly
up,
Korda slow
if
motion
her
swing.
swing is not replicable for you, you can do what I do and Google a random YouTuber. there, there's probably 50 million training videos out there on how to swing a golf swing, how to strike an iron, how to hit a driver. Your approach, your grip, backswing, follow through at impact, after the impact. None of which I've actually managed to master, which is why you heard me hitting shots to someone's backyard.
All right, I found a good video, so we're gonna do this right now. All right, so if you are watching on YouTube and potentially Spotify, once we figure that out, you're about to witness greatness. Okay, so this is Nelly Korda's swing at 25% with one of her irons. I don't know which iron it is because it doesn't say, but just
We'll also
impressive.
drop a link
Yeah.
if you're listening.
So even starting with the takeaway, like perfect pause at the back. Just look at that follow through, man. Like
Well,
there is
you can see
that
that
is
weight shift at
that's
the
what I'm
top.
saying, bro. And the way she keeps her head down the whole time, like she does, there's no sense of early extension at all. Oh my god, bro.
Yeah, it's just like a metronome. The
Like
center
honest,
stays and
I'll
the
tell you
swing
what,
goes.
if you're just getting into golf and you're looking for someone's swing to copy, or just to have a good reference point, um, I personally think Nelly's swing is like one of the best ones you can try and copy. Just everything she does is textbook, and she does it in like the cleanest way possible. So shout out to Nelly Korda. If for some reason we get in contact with her and she's down to come on the pod, we will definitely go into some more golf. But yeah, dude,
Yeah,
her
and
swing
this
is
and this
immaculate.
video shows a very good breakdown at 20%, 10%, and 5% speed.
hmm
So
hmm
you can probably get a good glimpse of what happens at each stage of the swing.
Exactly,
Very nice.
dude. Shout out to Nelly, man.
Yeah,
But
hopefully she keeps her winning streak. I believe if she wins the next one is the record.
yeah, so I guess just to summarize, just in the world of sports, there's a lot of good stuff going on right now. I think usually it's around this time of year where, for me personally, it's the most exciting. So, yeah, man, whatever sport you follow, right now is a good time to be following. So, do you have any final thoughts about any of the sports topics that we've covered today?
Other than the fact that we will cover more sports in the following episodes, not every episode, obviously, but
Right.
some of the things that happen over the year, we'll be sure to cover it. And as listeners, if you want us to cover particular sports, even if we're not experts, we'll dig it up, do some research, ask coworkers if we have to, and then give you our perspectives on the sport as well. So give us feedback.
But other than that, man, looking at the time, we're about an hour 15 in, so I think this might be a good place to stop. I know at the start you mentioned that we might talk about
Well,
my.
we could quickly cover it.
You know what? I think I'm actually going to save it because there was just so much that happened in that session. But maybe this will be kind of like the cliffhanger for the next episode.
Yeah.
But
So next episode, we will talk about an interesting trip that Andrew had
Holy shit.
with a
I don't even know. What do you call these people,
fortune
dude?
teller, shaman, liars. Honestly, I call them liars, but they
Oh, man.
supposedly have a title, fortune teller.
Yeah.
I don't believe in any fortune tellers, to be honest. And most definitely not fortune tellers in person or in a fortune cookie. But we'll talk about an interesting encounter that Andrew had with a fortune teller in the next
Yeah,
episode.
that shit was wild, bro. That shit was so
Amongst
wild.
other things, we'll keep you interested that way. So thank you everyone for listening to another episode of the Double O Podcast. Make sure to subscribe in the platform that you listen to for your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you may be tuning in to listen to your podcast. Again, my name is Young. I'm with Andrew. And until next time, peace.
Peace.